Stereotypes, so where do I start? It's judging people by their appearance, the way that they act and look. There's so many stereotypes in the world. There could be chavs, emos, tomboys, gay people and even straight people. There's so many in the world that I don't necessarily think that we can be just one stereotype. I think there can be loads mixed in one, but the media don't think that themselves. They think that they should divide people into certain categories, into certain groups. Because media think that there's certain images for people and that they need to make everyone look like this perfect person to make them be liked in society. I think that you don't have to look like a perfect person or like that perfect image to be liked in society. I think you should just be yourself to be liked in society. But I wondered myself, where did stereotypes come from? Why do they exist in the world today? Why do we stereotype people so much? I wanted to know more on this, so I decided to get an expert opinion on the theory side of stereotypes.
I think that young people are surrounded by images. They may be on the internet, they may be in magazines, certainly around body image, what people should look like, idealised versions of people. And I think this can have an impact on young people's well-being. Girls are given unrealistic expectations of how they should look. A lot of the pictures you see are photoshopped or digitised, and it's the same things happening with young men. The research would say that self-harm and eating disorders in young men are on the rise, and some would point to the fact that there's a stereotype, a media stereotype of what people should look like, and young people struggle to live up to that because it's not real.
It means judging people before you actually know them.
It means about how someone's different to others around them. It makes you feel like you're just left out or different to others.
Stereotypes. It means judging someone before you get to know them. Taking their image literally and not getting to know them as a person, knowing their quality, just assuming because of how they look they're a certain type of person.
The word stereotype to me means being put into a box that you don't agree with. Something that, yeah, I may have parts of me that fit into it, but it's like being crammed into a closet and someone locking the door.
There's a theory of what's called categorisation, and effectively the theory would go that in Western societies we tend to categorise things generally. So you might use the ladies' toilet, I might use the men's toilet, and we categorise things off. And as such, that transmits to every area of our life, including how we view people. So young people may be categorised in a certain way, as old people are categorised. So there is a theory behind it, and I think that it depends on who's doing the categorising and to what end. So some people might say all young people are the hope of the world. Other people might say they're just a lot of loud children.
I believe people stereotype because they need to feel part of the group.
People stereotype because in our day and age, I think it's kind of a main focus, like you have to be part of something, you have to be this, you have to be that. People just hurl it around like it's nothing.
I think sometimes it makes people feel better about themselves as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, it helps sort of group people together, because it's sort of easier to group people together than think of them as individual people.
Sometimes it's because the way you've been brought up by your parents, like the things that your parents tell you when you're little, you believe. And sometimes it's because sometimes the more people which class as the popular ones would stereotype the weaker ones because they want to be more popular.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes also because of your insecurities and your low self-esteem. When you call people, you feel better about yourself.
In the media, there's a context removal mechanism, and by that I mean that they give you surface information. They broadcast surface information, so they don't, generally speaking, don't go into any depth. So if you look at any newspaper, certainly tabloid newspapers, you'll see very, very surface information driven by stereotypes. Benefits, people, Muslim people. It was chavs a few years ago. There were lots of chavs. If you happen to have a baseball cap and wear a tracksuit bottom, you're instantly a chav and therefore instantly, a criminal. So yes, I think the media do generate a lot of stereotypes, and I think that young people pick up on that.
Many times.
How does that make you feel?
Made me feel lonely from time to time.
Have you ever stereotyped someone else?
Once, only because they stereotyped me in a way that just made me feel more than alone.
How do you think it made them feel though?
Sad, same as I would have.
Personally, I've never actually been in a situation where someone has stereotyped against me. Saying that, probably have, but never been told.
Have you ever stereotyped someone else, and how do you think that it made them feel?
I gotta be honest, something I'm not proud of. When I was younger, me and my mates used to take the mick out at like moshers, and they used to do the same with us. And maybe, in some sense, maybe it didn't make them feel good, but it was like giving as much as you got type of thing. It wasn't as in we just decided to do it. They'd have a go at us and we'd have a go at them.
All the time.
How does that judgment make you feel?
Weird.
Have you ever stereotyped someone else?
Yeah?
How do you think it made them feel?
Probably not that good about themselves.
Yeah, I've been stereotyped before.
How did that judgment make you feel?
It made me feel awful, but what people really need to understand is I don't let things upset me. I mean, on the outside I won't let people see how I feel, but on the inside I will admit that it made me feel like shit.
Have you ever stereotyped someone else?
I probably have without even realising it, but if I have, to anyone that I have, I apologise.
There's an interesting theory called transactional analysis, and I won't go too in depth of the theory, but effectively we get our self-concept, who we believe we are, a lot from our caregivers. Could be parents, could be people close to us, and we develop that part of us from them. And if we've got really good caregivers, if we've got really positive role models, then by all intents and purposes the theory would say that we grow up to be quite robust and emotionally intelligent people. But the opposite is true if we don't get those positive reactions from the people around us. And I think that self-concept is something that is a lifelong journey. It starts when one's old enough to understand, you know, that you're a human being and that you're here in the world. And I suspect it ends the minute you take your last breath. I don't think it's a destination, I think it's more a journey.